that the cost of inaction is far greater than the burden of decisive action. And our president, President Trump, has taken that decisive action today. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the UK Presidency for convening the Council for this urgent meeting following the latest developments in the Middle East. I also wish to thank the Secretary General for his statement. Today's developments are deeply concerning and pose the risk of further destabilizing an already volatile situation at a time of heightened tensions in the Middle East. Mr. President, let me reiterate our deep concern over Iran's unacceptable behavior related to its nuclear program, its ballistic missiles, its destabilizing activities in the region and beyond, and its violent crackdown and repression against its own people. As a consequence, the European Union, with Denmark's active support, has adopted strong sanctions against Iran, just like we have always been promoting diplomatic efforts to address the nuclear and ballistic missile programs through a negotiated solution. I also wish to express Denmark's condemnation of Iran's attacks today on countries of the region. This must stop immediately. We express our full solidarity with partners in the region under attack. Mr. President, at this critical juncture, de-escalation is imperative. A broader regional escalation would have devastating consequences for the Middle East and for international peace and security. We call for maximum restraint and respect for international law, including international humanitarian law. What is needed is for diplomatic efforts to reduce tension and for the negotiations to resume in good faith as the only viable, lasting solution to the Iranian nuclear issue. Iran must never be allowed to develop or acquire a nuclear weapon. This is essential for regional and international security. Finally, Mr. President, for years now, we have heard the Iranian people calling for dignity, for opportunity, and for their fundamental rights to be respected. For too long, authorities in Tehran have failed to heed these calls. We call on Iran to refrain from further attacks, give up their weapons programs, and to meaningfully engage with the international community in a manner consistent with its international obligations and the will and aspirations of its own citizens. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, President. I would like to thank the Secretary General for his sobering presentation and assessment of the unfolding situation in the Middle East after concerning developments in the region. We concur with his view that there is no viable alternative to a peaceful settlement. President, Pakistan condemns the initiation of unwarranted attacks against the Islamic Republic of Iran in violation of international law. Yet again, these attacks come at a time when renewed diplomatic efforts were underway to reach a peaceful and negotiated solution. Such a course of action will undermine the peace and stability of the entire region with far-reaching consequences. Pakistan also condemns the attacks against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, and stands in solidarity with all these brotherly countries and underscores the need to exercise maximum restraint. This is extremely unfortunate since several brotherly Arab countries were in fact supporting dialogue and emphasizing the need to avoid escalation. We particularly laud Oman's role in facilitating and mediating dialogue between Iran and the United States. These unprovoked attacks, therefore, constitute blatant violations of the sovereignty of the brotherly Gulf states. Pakistan also condemns the unfortunate death of a Pakistani national in the UAE during this dastardly attack. We urge all sides to refrain from any further actions that may undermine the security and territorial integrity of other regional countries. President, we regret the fact that diplomacy has once again been derailed as these attacks have happened right in the middle of negotiations. These military actions undermine dialogue and further erode trust that was already in short supply. We offer our condolences and sympathies to civilians caught in the middle of these violent acts. Our thoughts go out to the school children in Iran and many civilians elsewhere, and the family of the Pakistani national who was killed during attacks on the United Arab Emirates earlier today. President, the purposes and principles of the UN Charter are inviolable and sacrosanct. The Charter prohibits threat or use of force against territorial integrity or political independence of states. Pakistan reiterates the call for full respect for international law, including the UN Charter, as well as the international humanitarian law. We are deeply alarmed at the risk of regional conflagration. Safety and well-being of millions of our compatriots in the countries of the region is also top priority for Pakistan. Pakistan is maintaining close contact and coordination with brotherly neighboring countries, including at the leadership level. We are ready to extend our support towards peaceful resolution of outstanding issues. Pakistan has consistently advocated the primacy of peaceful settlement of disputes and the imperative of avoiding confrontation and conflict in a region already beset by tensions and volatility, as the Secretary General has also noted. Diplomacy and dialogue should be the guiding principles for achieving negotiated settlement of all contentious issues in accordance with the rights, obligations, and responsibilities of the parties concerned. Pakistan calls on all sides to immediately halt escalation and urgently resume diplomacy with a view to achieving a peaceful, negotiated resolution to this crisis. Thank you so much.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Greece.
Thank you, Mr. President, for convening this meeting at such a short notice. I would like also to thank the Secretary General for his briefing and his messages on respecting the principles of the UN Charter and his calling on de-escalation and a peaceful settlement of the situation. Mr. President, we express our deep concern following today's escalation. Our aim should be to return to substantial negotiations towards a peaceful settlement in line with international law and the UN Charter. As the Council meets in this critical moment, we would like to stress the following. First, restraint is imperative. The risk for a wider regional confrontation with potentially grave consequences for international peace and security is real. Absent a swift diplomatic solution, we might now face the consequences of prolonged crisis. All parties must therefore exercise restraint, prevent a further spiral of violence, and work urgently to reopen credible channels of dialogue. Our Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs are in constant contact with our partners in the region. We strongly condemn the Iranian strikes in Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Second, Greece has consistently expressed its strong concern regarding Iran's nuclear program. Iran must never be allowed to acquire a nuclear weapon. The accumulation of significant quantities of uranium enriched up to 60% by a non-nuclear weapon state raises serious proliferation concerns and has no credible civilian justification. Full cooperation with the IAEA and strict adherence to international obligations are indispensable. It is widely believed that strong Permanent and verifiable oversight on Iran's nuclear and ballistic programs is a precondition for stability in the region. Diplomacy, grounded in verification and transparency, remains the only sustainable path forward. Third, maritime security in the Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz, and the Red Sea must be fully respected by all sides. Even more now, of all times, stability is of the utmost importance. We urge Iran and its allies in the region to refrain from any retaliatory action that could endanger freedom of navigation, threaten commercial shipping, or further destabilize global energy and trade flows, constituting a blatant violation of the international law of the sea as reflected in UNCLOS. Fourth, the protection of civilians and respect for international law must remain absolute priorities. Adherence by all member states to the UN Charter, international humanitarian law, and human rights law becomes even more critical. Civilians must not bear the cost of military escalation. The humanitarian consequences of further confrontation could be severe. In closing, Mr. President, the stakes for regional and global peace are exceptionally high. We urge Iran to immediately engage in meaningful and good faith negotiations with a view to achieving a durable, negotiated solution. Dialogue and diplomatic engagement aimed at restoring stability and providing credible security assurances for all concerned must prevail. Failure is not an option. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. President.